In this video, I'm going to show how I cut my stencils on the Crucit machine. I'll also show which materials I use. I have a cousin that does amazing artwork, and I'm going to use one of his art pieces to make this video. I'll be using alcohol-based markers on Yupo paper for my demonstration. This is a picture of the guitar my cousin made using metal objects. This picture is of a tracing I made so I can make my first stencil. I'll be making several stencils in order to complete my painting. Here I'll show how I set up my Crucit machine. First I'll open the Crucit design space. I'll expand it. I'll click on New Project. Then I'll click on Upload, Upload Image, Browse. Then I'll open my file. Now I'm going to use moderately complex and continue. I'm going to come up here and reduce the size, zoom out, and I will click on all black areas here. That will be the part that is cut out. This will take a little while, so I'll go ahead and speed up the video. I'll click on Continue. And I only want to cut the image. I don't want to print then cut. So I'll click on the cut image. Then Upload. I'll click on the image and then Insert Image. Now my image size is 10 inches by 5 3/4. So I'll set width at 10 inches. And then height will be 5 3/4. And as soon as I click on that little box, it automatically sets itself. Now I'll go ahead and click on Make It. Continue. I'm going, excuse me, I'm going to use stencil vinyl. But just to show where it's at, I'll click up here on Browse All Materials, and it's pretty far down. Here it is here, stencil vinyl. And I've already clicked that star. It makes it one of my favorites. Oops, I'll go ahead and click on it again. Then I'll click here and I'll give it a little more pressure. And so it's ready to go. The vinyl I'll be using is an Oracle 651. For some reason I like the matte black best, but it probably really doesn't matter. I also use the 651 blue. Now it's a little on the stiff side, So to make it easier to use on my Crucit machine, I every few uses of my mat, my Crucit mat, I'll use some of this Scotch spray adhesive, but you must make sure it's repositional, otherwise you'll end up not being able to pull your vinyl off your mat. Now my image size is 10 inches wide by 5 3/4 inches high, but I cut my vinyl to 7 inches high by 11 inches wide, and this way, instead of me trying to be accurate with the size of my finished size when it's cut out, I let the machine do it, and the machine will cut out the exact size every time. And since I'll be using more than one stencil, and I do need them to register, it's best to let the machine do that for me. Okay, now I'll feed the mat into the machine. And I'll go ahead and have it start cutting. I'll press the feed button to release my mat. I'll use my weeding tool and remove the areas that are going to be left open to be painted. Now this is going to take a little while, so I'm going to do this off camera. Now this is what my stencil looks like after I picked out all the unwanted parts. Also, my Crucit machine cut my stencil down to 5 3/4 inch by 10 inch. And all the tracings I have on my computer are sized to that size. But I do use a larger piece of vinyl material, so that when the Crucit machine cuts out my stencils, they're all cut exactly the same size. Now the vinyl that I use I did buy it at Amazon. This is the transfer tape I'll be using. This is the box the transfer tape comes in. Also purchased at Amazon. I purchased a kit that had the weeding tool, tweezers, a scraping tool, and other tools, all also purchased at Amazon. The paper I'll be using for my painting is Yupo paper. It's actually more of a plastic than a paper, and the brand name is actually Yupo paper, and that also purchased at Amazon. Now I cut another stencil, and the reason is this stencil here will I'll be filling in the blank areas with colored markers. The first stencil I cut will be all black with a black marker, and it turns out that if I do the black first, when I go to paint the color and the black smear. So I'll end up doing the black at the very end. This is a transfer tape that I'll use to pick all the, especially the smaller parts on my stencil, to transfer onto my art paper. Now I bend back a little bit, maybe about a ½ inch of the backing, so it's easier to apply. Then I'll use my scraping tool as I remove the backing. I'm trying to keep all the air bubbles out, especially around the small parts. I want to make sure that the transfer tape adheres to these small pieces. If I don't pick them up, or if I leave any of them without picking them up, I'll never be able to line them up with the rest of the stencil. This is my Yupo paper, and I measured off the margins I want, and I'm going to use a pencil line. I should be able to erase the lines when I'm done. I'm now going to lift the stencil from the backing, and again I'll peel that backing back a little bit. Now as I peel the backing back, I need to make sure that the transfer tape is picking up all the small parts of my stencil. Here's where it starts getting where I really have to watch it, that none of these small pieces stay back. Oops. I have this one here, didn't want to come off. I'm going to go ahead and finish doing this off camera. I'm having problems with a very small piece. I'm going to remove the transfer tape, and as I do, I need to make sure that all the small pieces of the stencil remain on my Yupo paper. I want to try to work out all the air bubbles, because if I don't, it'll the marker will bleed underneath the stencil. Actually, it's not going to matter a whole lot in this case, because when I put the stencil that I'm going to use a black marker on, it will cover any areas that might have bled. Now, the markers I'll be using on the yellow, green, dark blue, light blue, and black are this brand. I bought these at Walmart. The pink and the orange I'll be using are this brand, and I bought these through Amazon. And I'll start with the lighter colors first, in case there's any bleeding. There's less chance of them smearing. I'll finish filling in the colors off camera. I'm not happy with the way that the blue turned out. It's got really streaked and uneven. That was the azure, I believe how you pronounce it. And so I'm going to try, I guess it's cobalt blue, and it's this brand here. I think this looks quite a bit better, so I'll leave it at that. I didn't, excuse me, I didn't need the top of the stencil, so I cut it off so I wouldn't have to peel it off after I painted these areas. Let's see, I'll start with the green. The blue. Then pink. Then orange. And that should take care of that part. Now this is my final stencil, and I'll be using a black marker. I'll let the marker dry before I remove the stencil. Last of all, I'm going to outline those pink keys up here, and I'm going to use marker. The marker came in this set, and it's also this brand. This is my finished painting. I put a mat around it. I'm going to need to find a better way to adhere my stencils. There's areas where the black bled underneath the stencil. But this video is basically to show some of the materials I use and how I cut my stencils with my Crucit machine. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun doing it. If you did like it, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.